The word transgender is relatively new in our lexicon. It's probably, I'd say, 8 to 10 years old. Prior to that, we were known as transsexuals and transvestites. Transgender is really an umbrella term, and it encompasses anyone that's gender variant. Transsexual, male to female, transsexual, female to male, pre-op transsexual, post-op transsexual, genderqueer, gender fluid, intersex, hermaphrodite.
I wouldn't ever say that I felt male. I always just was male. Up until puberty, I just hung out with guys and thought I was just one of them, and it never really occurred to any of us that I wasn't.
It's not just, typical adolescent alienation. It's like, I know my body's completely wrong.
If I had become a, quote, normal guy, then I would have been cured. However, personally, I think I've been cured because today, if someone asks me my gender, I just say I'm female. I don't say I'm transsexual because technically I'm not.
I've started as male at this job. I'm working with kids in a residential treatment center. It's been kind of bizarre that my gender is so out there. It's so exposed. Like, my biggest nightmare walking in there was that I was gonna have these questions. And right off the bat, what are you? Are you a boy or a girl? Are you a Mr. or are you a Miss?
And I was lucky enough to have the money to afford facial surgery. So if you take a look at the pre-surgery pictures and the post-surgery pictures, there's almost no comparison. We look like distant cousins at best.
It's very taxing, the things that we have to go through to make our bodies appear the way we want them. Looking at your chest and saying, okay, is this noticeable? Not really being able to go swimming. You can't really hide your chest. It's either feel uncomfortable while you're doing something which makes you not enjoy it, or just, giving it up because you have to.
I don't know what it's like to have a normal adolescence. It's like one of those common experiences of human life that I'm just never going to have. Because when I was learning how to be an adult, I really wasn't. I was learning how to play a role.
I struggled with the whole issue of cross-dressing from the age of 5 until the age of about 45. Once I knew that there was such a thing as a transsexual, in the back of my mind, I knew that that's what I was, but I didn't want to be that.
I realized that I was biologically female at that point. It kind of was like a slap in the face saying, you're not the same as everybody else. I remember crying and crying and crying and no, I'm just mortified that this thing was happening to my body. Top surgery, so double mastectomy. It's kind of what I'm focused on. It's pretty much all I think about right now.
It's real. This is really happening finally. I've been waiting so long that all of a sudden it's here, and I'm just kind of like, this is interesting. Before surgery, you have to live as your desired gender for a full year. With hormones, you have to be in therapy for 3 months, and then you can begin hormones. 12 days, I have my surgery. Most insurances won't cover anything to do with sex reassignment surgeries, hormones, things like that. They add the T into this GLBTQXYZ thing, but sometimes it's, I feel like it's just another letter. They really don't get it. It's hard because the more I pass, the more I feel like I'm losing my quote-unquote queerness. And the queer community is extraordinarily important to me.
Trans men who had been in the lesbian community have been rejected by that community in the past because it's like, you're selling out. You're becoming one of them, one of the oppressors, and all kinds of emotional stuff. I used to go to lesbian bars and hang out, and it was a very comfortable, safe place for me. And now I don't feel that comfort. I feel like I'm invading their space, like I don't belong there.
As a group, the GLB group really is separate and it's very divisive. The Human Rights Commission, up until last August, refused to include gender expression in EDNA, the law on equal rights.
Even in Rhode Island, before I came to this state, when the civil rights law was passed, like in a lot of states, they said, yeah, but we're not touching that gender stuff, and that was very clearly kept out of the bill at the time. If we include gender identity, nobody will get it, and it'll just hold us back.
I go to school full time, and I'm studying clinical psychology. During the developmental psychology course, the professor asked all of the students to tell them about themselves a little bit. And I didn't think about it. I said, I have 4 children. And Lisa said, I have 3 children. And we're the only 2 that had children. Well, the day we're studying the birth of the baby, the professor looks around and says, hey, Sarah, why don't you tell us about childbirth? What was it like for you? At the school, I'm not out. And the reason I'm not out is that it's the first time in my life I've ever been able to just be me. So I had to think real fast, and I told them about childbirth. That was acceptance for me.
If I want to live the way that I feel, I have to go through this procedure of, going on hormones and surgery and stuff like that.
If I don't do this, that I'm not going to survive.
Yeah, I didn't register for my procedure today. The first name is Colby, Kolby.